This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
This show is brought to you by Pet King Brands, the makers of Zymox and Oratine.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. COVID-19 has kept far too many of us stuck in our homes for far too many weeks. But many of us count our blessings to be under one woof. Yeah, I said it, woof, with a happy dog or more. But you and your dog, I'm betting, you're itching to sniff out a new place for daily walks besides that same old route you take in your neighborhood. Boring. Our special guest today has some creative options, and if you have the right backyard, you can even make some extra money. Ka-ching. Please welcome to the show the founder of a safer alternative dog parks. It's called SniffSpot. Please welcome David Adams. Hey, welcome to the show, David.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
All right, David is the founder of SniffSpot. You're going to hear me say that and pop my P's or S's or whatever all the time. SniffSpot. Just think of it as like an Airbnb for dogs. Places where your dog is safe from a dog park fight and where you can be safe from humans not practicing that, hey, stay 6 feet apart health guidelines. And we're going to learn more about SniffSpot and how David came to create this right after we pay for the show by taking a quick commercial break. So sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Hey, pet pals, Arden Moore here. Is your dog or cat prone to ear infections? Does your pet resist having his ears cleaned when they're inflamed or irritated? Are you also concerned about the overuse of antibiotics? Help is here. Zymox ear care products offer soothing relief, and you'll love this part. They don't require the ear to be cleaned before you apply the drops. It's just as easy as fill, rub, and done. That means less touching of those sensitive ears to help create a soothing, fear-free experience. And you only apply once a day. Here's another perk. Zymox, that's Z-Y-M-O-X, gets its effectiveness from enzymes, not antibiotics. You'll find these veterinary-recommended products through your veterinarian, most pet specialty retailers, and online. To learn more, go to Zymox.com. That's Z-Y-M-O-X. Pause up.
Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guest today is a problem solver. He's also a dedicated pet parent to a pair of lucky dogs named Soba and Toshii. Now, everybody join me. Let's give pause and applause to the founder of SniffSpot, David Adams. I'm so glad you're on the show, David.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Folks, I first spoke with David for an article I was writing for Fear Free Pets about outdoor safety in dogs. And I'm like, oh, I got to get this dude on my show because he has some brilliant ideas about how to enjoy the great outdoors with your dog. And so that's why I extended the invite to you, David. So let's answer the first burning question. What the heck is SniffSpot?
Yeah, so to put it succinctly, you did a good job of explanation with AirBnB for off-leash dog areas.
Okay.
So SniffSpot is a website that enables anyone to turn their yard or their land into a safe and private off-leash area for dogs. That's the shortest way I can describe it.
And, you know, dogs, years ago, David, I had a husky golden retriever mix named Chipper. And when I first got her, she actually leaped out of my 6-foot fence in the backyard, but then she ran to the front door and barked. And I thought, well, the husky wants to roam and the golden wants to be home. And she had a clash of personality breeds or whatever. She turned out to be a really wonderful dog. But I always wondered when I would be taking any of my past or current dogs to a dog park, you're always getting that little, oh, let's keep our paws crossed. Everything's going to be okay, right?
Yeah. I mean, dog parks are really important parts of cities. I mean, it's tough to be a dog in a city. And for many dogs, dog parks are the only option they have for off-leash exercise. So they're important, and it's great that they're free and open, but at the same time, being free and open has some drawbacks.
Well, let's get right to the bite of the matter. Bring us back a few years ago and tell us a little bit about your dog, Soba. What kind of dog is Soba, and what happened that may have sparked the idea to create SniffSpot?
Yeah, so Soba is the cutest dog ever. She's a 40-pound lab pit mix.
Okay.
And she is super friendly, very high energy, sometimes a little bit overbearing meeting other dogs.
Yep.
And she was my first dog. I adopted her about 4 years ago, and I didn't know anything about dogs. And when I moved to Seattle, I was taking Soba around to local dog parks, and it just seemed like every time I went to a dog park, in some way I had a bad experience. Like there was always that one dog there that would just not leave Soba alone, and eventually the breaking point was that Soba actually was nipped enough that it broke the skin, and I had to take her to the vet, and that was really the turning point where I said, oh my gosh, I can't even go to dog parks anymore. And it was a real crisis living in a city.
Oh, yeah. And you said, what level apartment were you in?
So I lived downtown on the 7th floor of an apartment building.
Okay.
So Soba lived in a high rise, and when she walked outside, it was the concrete jungle. And imagine that for a dog. You're down at ankle level, and there's cars whizzing by, and people everywhere, other dogs everywhere, strange smells, loud noises, construction. It's stressful.
Yeah, and also practicing Kegels down the elevator, hopefully that is moving fast, not slow, and the dog's got to go, and then comes out to a concrete jungle and fast cars, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's cities, this is kind of our tagline. Cities are not built for dogs. They're not really built for people either.
Yeah. Well, now nobody's in the city. I see things like gators walking down the streets of South Florida cities and others because we've become ghost towns because of COVID-19. But people are slowly coming back, and they're itching to get back into a routine. And I'm betting, I know you love your dogs, Soba and Toshii, but I'm betting Toshii and Soba are like, you and your wife, Rebecca, can we have a little alone time? You humans are in the house 24/7 now. So, for the sake of your pet, first of all, you know this answer, but why is it so important to get them out to get some vitamin D and not do the same old route in the same direction at the same time, at the same duration?
Yeah. So this is something that I've learned throughout my journey is for a dog, sniffing is like reading the newspaper.
Yep.
It's how they learn. It actually is how they relax. They get to know their surroundings. People relax by walking, by looking, and dogs relax by sniffing. So when you walk your dog around the same block again and again, it's like reading the same newspaper from, May 31st, 1995 for 10 years. And it gets pretty boring. So the thing that I've learned, and this is something that modern canine science is showing, is that for a dog, being able to sniff, which means being able to be off leash so their nose can guide them, being able to kind of run free in a new space and like per time, it's 3 times more beneficial for a dog in terms of enrichment than just taking a walk. So it makes a big difference for a dog.
Well, what we've done, David, we have 3 dogs, Big Bujo, Medium Kona, and Itty Bitty Emma. And we have to put little Emma in a stroller. Don't snicker, everybody. But we go like 2 to 3 mile walks, and we are doing everything we can to find a new place, a new route, and a new direction, and take them at a different time of day. But still, I find myself saying, I wonder if they're bored. So we've got this coronavirus going on, but I don't think that could impact SniffSpot. It may even enhance it, right?
Yeah. Well, it comes back to SniffSpot's been around before coronavirus, but even before coronavirus, it was tough to be a dog in a city.
Right.
And I was having this crisis, and I looked around and realized that there's so much open land. There are yards that people don't use really ever. You never see people in their yards. There's land outside cities that are hobby farms or places that are not used. Mm-hmm. And if I'm having this crisis of finding a place for my dog to exercise, why not match those up?
Good.
And that's basically what SniffSpot does. And it's been pretty amazing to see how, this is a need. This has been a need for me for years, and I've been working on it. And now with coronavirus, if you thought it was hard to be a dog in a city before coronavirus, imagine after coronavirus. It's really tough. And we're seeing a big influx of people that want safe spaces for their dog and also safe spaces for them.
Right. Yeah, I went to the supermarket the other day, and it was wild. They now have aisles going one direction, the next aisle goes the other, just to try to keep people from passing by. But of course, nobody pays attention to that. So yeah, we have a lot of things that are changing. So just tell us how it works. So I've got Bujo and Kona and Itty Bitty Emma, and I'm like so bored going to the same route. What can I do? I'm in Dallas. How do I use SniffSpot? So I'm going to be the consumer, and then we can talk about the people that might want to be one of the hosts, if you will, of this place.
Yeah. So to use SniffSpot, you go on our website or you go on our app, and it's similar to Airbnb. If you go on the website, you can browse different spots. Mm-hmm. So these are people that have listed yards or land or any kind of space, indoor space, a huge variety. You can browse, look at the spots, see a spot that looks good. So you can read reviews, look at photos, read more information about the spot, and then you can reserve a time. So SniffSpot's about safe and private exercise for dogs. So all bookings are private. So when you reserve a time at a spot, it's just you. And we actually enforce 30-minute buffers on either side of reservations so that there's no crossover. You can go reserve a time, and it's really simple to check out. Our hosts set whatever price they want for that time. Easily check out. You've got the time. Then put the pups in the car. Make sure you bring your Chuck-It or whatever toys you want. And head on over there and have a great time during the time that you're there.
It's great to bring the toys, but you got to bring in the spare poop bags too, because I don't think these hosts want to have a bunch of landmines that smell.
Yeah. So the guest is expected to leave the spot as they found it.
Okay.
So that means picking up after your dog. So definitely bringing along poop bags is a good idea. Additionally, bringing along water, especially in Dallas this time of year, is a great idea. However, and this is pretty cool, many of our hosts actually provide amenities.
Really?
So if you see a spot, it might say, well, I've got poop bags here. And some spots say, I've got water here.
Nice.
Some spots have
any of them say
pools set up for your dog. Some
any
spots
vodka?
have toys.
Any
some
little
spots
bars?
have, we have spots that are crazy. They have plugs for your iPhone. Some have Bluetooth speakers. Some have tea and coffee for humans.
Nice.
Or snacks for humans. So it's pretty cool to see what hosts are doing to make sure people have a great time when they're visiting these spots.
And what's the normal rate, and how long do normally people rent out a place?
So typically, the minimum you can book is an hour.
Okay.
And you can book as long as you want. And generally prices start around $4 per dog per hour.
Oh, that's cheap.
It's pretty inexpensive relative to other options out there you'd have for private spaces with your dog.
Hey, folks, we're speaking with David Adams. He is the creator, the founder of SniffSpot, and that's SniffSpot.com. We're going to learn more about ways to expand your dog's enrichment and the sniffing power right after we take this quick commercial break. So sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. All Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Hey, pet pals, Arden Moore here. Welcome to spring and summer, the onset of itchy skin and allergy season. Is your pet dealing with itchy skin, hot spots, and even ear infections? Help is here. It is Zymox shampoo and conditioner to the rescue. Not only is this a shampoo and conditioner great for general bathing and healthy skin support, but it is the go-to shampoo and conditioner for itchy pets. Its patented enzyme formula is loaded with antibacterial and antifungal properties to ease the itch and stop the scratching. And as an added bonus, Zymox shampoos and conditioners give off a lovely, pleasant, non-medicine smell. For over 20 years, Zymox products have been helping pets find relief for many health conditions. All Zymox skin and ear products get their effectiveness from enzymes. Zymox contains no antibiotics and no petroleum byproducts, just the soothing power of enzymes. Zymox can be found at your veterinary clinic, most pet specialty stores, and online. To learn more, dash over to www.zymox.com. That's ZYMOX for your pet's sake.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is Brandon McMillan, the host of Lucky Dog, and I invite you to listen to Oh Behave with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm having a great time talking to David Adams. He has 2 dogs. He and his wife live in Seattle. They see and saw what happens when you can't find a cool, safe place for your dog to run free off leash. And the solution hit them. Let's create a company called SniffSpot. David, what were you doing prior to this?
So I have worked in technology for a long time. I worked at Microsoft and some other companies, and I worked a little bit in investment. So my background is not in dogs at all. And I've loved dogs my whole life, but I'm not a dog trainer or someone that has a deep experience. For me, SniffSpot came from my own problem as a dog owner.
Right.
That I just needed, I needed these safe and private spaces for my dog, and I couldn't find them. They didn't exist.
Right. And the point, too, is, and I've been to different places in the country, there's some very nice dog parks out there. A lot of them, though, tend to be ones that are membership driven with you have to pay to get in, and there's all these requirements, which this is where our world has gone to, because if you just walk to a dog park and all these dogs charge the fence, and the people who belong to these dogs are nose deep on the phone or eating something and not paying attention, fights do happen. And it almost feels like you're kind of putting your dog in a boxing ring without the gloves, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, like I said, I think dog parks are important for cities because you need to have some option for people. But there are a lot of drawbacks to the free and open nature of dog parks. So dog fights for sure. Hygiene.
Right? Yeah, check your shoes, everybody.
Maintenance. We've had some, just in the Seattle area, there have been some horrific stories over the last couple of years that I've been doing this about dog parks. Like, there have been more than one case of dogs eating heroin that they found in dog parks and ODing.
Oh my gosh.
There was a series of incidents with poisoned meatballs in dog parks near Seattle.
That's mean. Yeah.
So it's really, they're really important for cities, but when you start reading about what happens in dog parks, it really is something where you say, man, bad things can happen.
That's right. So we've talked about how people can go on using the app or go to sniffspot.com and check out different potential places to have an hour or so with their dog without the fear of other dogs. Let's flip it to the other side. People that may have a nice fenced-in backyard or other options. What's the benefit to them? And I'm sure any of those people that are opening up their backyards have dogs of their own. So are the dogs in the house going, hey, who are you? Who are you? What's happening on that flip side?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about what motivates our hosts. The number one thing for our hosts is they want to help dogs. Our hosts are dog people. Like you said, many of our hosts have their own dogs. Many of them have multiple dogs. And they love dogs. They understand the challenge that dogs have in the modern world. And, many of them didn't always have space for their dogs. So when they have it, they want to share. And what we hear from our hosts again and again is that it's really a gratifying thing to be able to give and help people that need it. In addition, though, it's a pretty nice thing to be able to make some money sharing your yard because it's a side gig that doesn't actually require any work. Most side gigs, like if you want to make money with Uber or, whatever else, you got to go do stuff.
With this, I mean, you're not going to become a millionaire, but, you can buy a pizza.
You could buy a lot of pizzas. I mean, we have, our top hosts are making close to $2,000 a month.
Really? Wow.
They're paying off a decent chunk of their mortgage or they're paying off their property taxes. And a lot of them are saying that SniffSpot really helps them out of a tough financial place.
So how wide a spread is this? You're in Seattle, but you told me earlier, I can't remember the count, but give our listeners an idea of how widespread SniffSpot is and how it's spreading the globe.
Yeah, so we have spots. Last I looked a few weeks ago, we had spots in 600 different cities.
Wow.
So we're all over the country and all over the world. And the beautiful thing about SniffSpot is we're anywhere that a host signs up. So
nice.
we really want more hosts to sign up in Seattle, in Washington, and all across the world as well.
And we got to go legal beagle because, we live in the United States of America. You sue anybody, USA. So how do you keep the legal beagle part of that in check?
So for hosts, we've never had an issue. We never had an issue with anyone on the legal side, but we do provide a lot of protections. The first line of defense is every guest, every user signs a waiver that indemnifies the host before they can even use SniffSpot.
Good.
Secondly, we provide insurance. So every booking comes with $1 million of liability insurance that covers our hosts.
Nice. That's good.
And third, we actually provide damage protection as well. So if a dog was to dig up your roses or if someone broke your fence, then we provide damage protection to also cover those costs for hosts. So it's very safe for hosts to use SniffSpot.
That gives a little peace of mind. So what does it cost? Is there like a monthly membership you pay to be a host, or how do you actually stay in business? Because this is a great concept, but you have to make a living.
Yes. Yeah. We definitely want to stay in business and be around to help people in a long time. How it works is that there's no upfront cost or monthly cost for hosts. We make a commission. So when a guest pays, we take a portion of that to cover our central costs. Okay,
good. And it's pretty easy and streamlined, right?
It's pretty nice for the host because you sign up for free and then you just get paid every month. And nice. There's no incremental work involved with it. You're just letting people use your yard and you're getting paid. So it's a pretty nice deal.
Yeah, and you don't have to get lost as an Uber driver or get yelled at by a bunch of drunks in your back seat, right?
It's a lot easier than being an Uber driver, I'm sure.
Yeah. And, I'm just thinking out loud, there are dogs we know and we love, and we know they need to be outside. We know that we don't want them always on a leash, but they're reactive or they're snarky or they're afraid to be around other dogs. And, God love them. So talk about that kind of dog and why that's a good candidate for your offerings.
Yeah, so reactive dogs are one of our target customers. And for those that don't know, a reactive dog is just a dog that reacts to stimuli. So they might bark or lunge at, people or dogs or squirrels or skateboarders or whatever. And that's one of our target customers because it's especially hard for a reactive dog in the modern world. There are triggers everywhere. And people say, oh, a reactive dog, I know a couple of those. We've actually surveyed nationwide, and 75% of dog owners say that they have a dog that's in some way reactive.
Okay.
So this is a major issue, and it's becoming worse as more people are moving into cities. And as there's more rescuing happening, a lot of rescues have issues with reactivity from their background. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue.
So once you lock in your appointed time and you arrive, do you ring the doorbell? What do you do to let the owner know you and Soba are there?
The host can provide access instructions. And how it works is you see a time and you book it. And as soon as you pay, then you get the address and you get the access instructions. Generally, hosts will just say, here's how you get into the yard. Go ahead. Okay. And if you have questions, you can message the host. Other times hosts will say, hey, if it's your first time, text me through our messaging system when you get here, and I'll tell you where to go.
All right. Well, I just downloaded my address to find the SniffSpot locations in the Dallas area. And I want all my dogs to close their ears right now because they may be jealous or envious right now. But there's one that's like a 17-acre wooden space with a pond. Oh, my gosh. There's a pet stop with a view. There's one that has a dog-friendly pool. There's a zillion. I can't believe it. And the prices are anywhere from like $5 to $10 to $15 an hour, depending on the amenities.
Yeah, we've got a lot of spots around Dallas. We've got some really great spots in that area.
What's been kind of the coolest, if you could, like the Taj Mahal, if you will, the 5-star hotel? Have you heard of people saying, oh my gosh, I'm so glad my dog went to this location because? What would be some of the surprising amenities you've heard some of the customers have spoken about?
Oh, yeah. So we have some spots that go way beyond the pale. One spot that comes to mind is just like amenity heaven. So this spot has tents. It's an 1.5 acres fully fenced, no dogs around. It's got tents. It's got 4 pastures. It's got a tent set up in each pasture in case it rains. And it's got tables with hot coffee and tea.
Wow. And
snacks for the humans. Treasure boxes for the dogs, buckets of water in each pasture, and constantly refreshing toys. So when dogs come back, they're constantly finding and enjoying new toys. So that's one end of the spectrum, which is amenity heaven. We also have spots that are just great yards that are in convenient places in the city.
Good.
And people love having a fenced space in the city. And then the last kind is just land. Like you said, 17 acres.
Yeah.
Places that are large. They don't even have to be fenced. We've got spaces that you can go on a hike with your dog.
Nice.
So there's a variety. Whatever people want, you can find on SniffSpot.
And right now, whether you live in the city, whether you live in the country, whether you live in the suburbs, we are going a little stir crazy. So it sounds like SniffSpot is a good option right now and beyond, because Lord knows we need to get out there in the fresh air.
Yeah, and it's great for social distancing because it's safe, it's private. That's the whole idea of it. So you can go to a SniffSpot and never be within 100 feet of someone.
So, David, what do people say when you say, I run a company called SniffSpot? Do they kind of add another 6 feet to their distance and see you?
The first question is, oh my gosh, what is that?
Yeah.
And the second reaction is, oh, that's awesome. That sounds really cool. I would love for my dogs to have that.
I just think you should have some kind of a T-shirt with a big nose on it or something with a dog nose for your SniffSpot logo or something. Yeah. Our logo now is kind of a happy dog icon. Yeah. And we've been trying to find ways to make the nose more prominent. So we're working on it. All right. Well, let me know when you do that so we can follow up on that. Okay.
We'll do. I also clearly work on my pun game.
All right, good. You got to, man. You're on the air with Old Behave and Arden Moore. Hey, everybody. I found him by doing a story for Fear Free Pets, which is a great site of great information, how to reduce fear, anxiety, and stress in your dog in any location, in and out. And I love it when I can meet an entrepreneur like David Adams who says, this is the problem. I can either complain about it or I can find a solution. And his solution is SniffSpot. So please, after the show, dash over to sniffspot.com and you'll learn a lot more details. But thank you for keeping our dogs safe and happy, David.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's been great.
All right. And also, I want to give a shout out to my producer, Mark Winter. He is the Wizard of Paws. He's in charge of all the shows on Pet Life Radio. We are the world's largest pet radio network, and it's all because of him. He and I started 13 years ago, and now there's zillions of shows in the lineup, so please check out some of the other shows on Pet Life Radio. And until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. only on PetLifeRadio.com.